testosterone, we have a problem.
This is Outside the Manosphere, where two guys with zero credentials dive past the cliches of masculinity and try to become better friends by actually talking to each other. It's weirdly hard, but we're doing it anyway. Join us. Welcome to Outside the Manosphere. My name is Carlos.
And I'm Skip.
Skip, long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a whole week.
How's your week been?
It's been pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, I almost defaulted into kind of my normal, it's nothing. It's just kind of a standard week. But you know what? My standard week's pretty good. So I'm happy about that.
That's good. Nothing new and exciting, nothing outrageous.
No, nothing.
Well, that's good. That's
in
good.
Any of those genres.
Nice and steady.
Yeah, nice and steady. How about you?
My week has been normal, just like yours. I think before we got on, I'm like, I need to think about my week so that we're not like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
It's a very manly response.
We just kind of grunt and shrug.
Yeah, not in the best way, but yeah.
Yeah, man, nothing unusual. Just steady as she goes as well. But I'm looking forward. I got about 5 days, and I'm going to head out to Austin. I hope. Again,
I was going to ask. Yeah,
there's still like turmoil with the whole airline, so I don't know.
Right.
I mean, really, all I have to do is get to Montreal. If I can get to Montreal, I'll fly WestJet out. But like, I'm flying Air Canada from this town nearby to Montreal, and we'll see.
So instead of man of the week, I'm sort of doing a media of the week because something that I've been admiring or happy with in my podcasts is that they're podcasts that you wouldn't expect are putting their thumbs on the scale politically. They're making statements, which I think is important for everybody to do in times like these, where there's kind of a lot of authoritarianism and fascism kind of gestating. And, not all of them are super strong. Like How Stuff Works just released one on the militarization of police, to coincide with the, I don't know what else to call it, an invasion of Chicago.
Yeah, NDC,
Yeah. But especially Chicago, where Trump is, saying they're going to take the Department of War to an American city and posting pictures of the skyline being bombed with napalm. That's kind of extreme. So like things like that, and also, almost across the board, all my science podcasts, like because of funding and mistrust of science and Kennedy's disastrous reign in health and human services, like some of them are very, very strongly coming out against some of the things that are going on in ways that you wouldn't necessarily expect from like science podcasts and things like that. So that's heartening. It's heartening to see. So I guess my man of the week is to all those rebellious people out there that are not shutting up.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because I noticed maybe day before yesterday, NPR took a little bite out of the Trump administration. I mean, the right side would argue they were always doing that, but I really think they've been fairly balanced just in the entirety that I've been listening to them anyway. But and I can't remember the specifics anymore, but they were citing somebody that I'm like, I'm surprised they would. Oh, it was MSNBC. They had Ali Velshi on, and I'm like, well, that's pretty left. Like, it's really far left. And Ali Velshi, he's a known lefty, and that's fine. But like, I think that they wouldn't have had. Maybe they had him on before, but I had never heard him, and I was surprised to hear it, because all pretenses of equal coverage weren't dropped. I mean, they do have equal coverage, but I guess I'm just surprised to have what maybe the right would consider a polarized figure on NPR. Right. And I mean, really, what else could they do if they're being like stripped of funding and they're just going to bite down? We got to survive, and but I don't think it was biased news. It was just reporting the facts. Before, I think they've been like tiptoeing around some information just not to piss off Trump, because he's so he's so Trump, I guess is the best way. But the other thing too is
he's kind of a babyish tantrum thrower. Yeah,
he is. petulant, if you will.
Petulant, yes.
Little foreshadowing there for what we're going to maybe discuss later. But I was also going to say, stuff you should know, for years, they've been really crafty on how they let. I mean, not always. Sometimes they're pretty overt on how they feel. I haven't listened to them in a long time, and I'm still going to listen to that episode that you sent me because I want to. I like the podcast. Sure. But they're usually really careful and clever on how they introduce a political topic without really revealing their position, and
they try and hold things close to the vest. And you could even hear in this one a little banter back and forth. We're like, are we really going to do this topic? Like,
yeah.
So, and it wasn't overtly political in any way when they covered it. It was more or less the history and, a kind of a factual take and things. Like, there's not like a great way to be two-sided about the militarization of the police in some instances. But yeah, like they tried to keep politics out of it, but just the mere choice and the timing of it is in itself this little act. And I think it's something that I think we need. We need everybody to do what they can, where they can, within the boundaries of what's available to them. And that's going to be different for different people with different economic situations and platforms and things like that. But it's heartening to see people starting to make more noise because, geez, it's awfully dangerous over there.
Well, I don't know. This is going to sound like I'm coming out of nowhere, but do you ever watch any like cult documentaries or anything like that?
Not usually, but funny you should mention it because right now I'm finishing up the electric Kool-Aid acid test.
Okay.
By Tom Wolfe, which is about like Ken Kesey and the acid movement. And I don't think the guy intended to write it as a cult. And I think he mostly does a glow up of Ken Kesey, but it is clearly a fucking cult.
Really?
And he does some really terrible things. And it's really kind of interesting in that way. It's not my cup of tea. The writing isn't. It's like very zow, wow, hey man, and everything's flip side, and it's like real, like he's trying to embody the '60s acid mindset, which it doesn't work for my sensibilities. But it's really interesting because it does feel like he's trying, in most of the time, to paint these guys as people going for enlightenment and connection and things like that.
Yeah.
But to modern sensibilities where you know a little bit more about how things work, it's like this guy's clearly a fucking cult leader and he's manipulative as hell.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Well, the reason I brought it up is because I love me a good cult story. Like just putting on a documentary and watching like people doing crazy shit like in the name of like a guru is very pleasurable for me. And
this and your gossip thing. This is all.
You know what?
It comes together, but it's new.
That directly is connected to gossip because I'm like, ooh, and that's exactly what it is. Just satisfying the gossip flavor that my palate needs. But I think a consistency, I'll explain why I brought this up in just a second, but the consistency that I've seen throughout most of these is whenever the head of the cult, well, not in the case of Scientology, which you can argue is a cult, but whenever the head of the cult gets chopped off, the cult just sort of dissipates. Like there's always going to be some hardcore members, but they're like in the dozen, you know what I mean? Or less. Yeah. So whenever the head is gone, the cult just evaporates and it just, they spread out and they walk off with their wounds or they still hold it in their hearts, but they're no longer like practicing anymore. You know what I mean? The spell is broken. And that is my guiding light here. The reason I brought this up is because I think of the Trump administration. I think of Donald Trump as a personality and he has all the makings of a cult leader.
Oh yeah.
And I think that once he's gone, and I mean through natural means, I don't mean like through assassination or anything. Once he's gone, I think that's what's going to happen because there is not another soul on in the public sphere anyway that can do what he's doing. And they can try. JD Vance is going to try if he's around when Donald Trump dies.
Trump Jr. is going to try. There's going to be people trying, but it's going to splinter. And it's going to be a disaster. Yeah.
Yes. They're all going to try. It is going to splinter. There's going to be some little successes here and there, but once Trump is gone, I do think we're going to see a return to normalcy. Yeah. So that's my one little hope in all this is that, and I'm not wishing ill on the president.
Yeah.
But like he is an older man, and he's not a healthy older man. And
People thought he was dead a couple weeks
yeah,
ago.
I know. You know what? I missed that whole wave, and like, yeah, I really, I guess I'm kind of glad that I didn't think that he was dead, because I would have been like, I probably wouldn't be happy with myself for as much celebrating as I would have done. But yeah, I guess I am glad. I'm glad I missed that. But I came back to, I'm like, oh, people thought he was dead. Well, he's not. So that's the reality.
Yeah, coming back to the Scientologist thing, I mean, I think you'd be hard pressed to not define it as a cult. You'd have to defend yourself pretty heartily there. But but yeah, I mean, I think Scientology hasn't split up because there's too much money in organization, and that's the only worry here. Is there is a lot of money in organization going. So, but I think you're right. I mean, people aren't going to follow JD Vance, and people aren't going to follow a lot of these people, or certainly not the whole group. So yeah, my anticipation has always been that, like, when something happens with Trump, it's going to dissipate, which people will be like, oh, it's over. But like, it won't erase all the things that got us there, and all the things that people that support him think and feel and weren't okay with saying before, and maybe won't be okay saying again, but they still believe them and hold them in their heart and would act upon them. And that's the thing that's scary, is that we tend in America, one of the things that I always define as an American sensibility when I first moved here would ask me how things are different, is we care about how things look, and we don't care about actually fixing things. So if we got homeless people, we're going to send them somewhere else. If people are drinking on the street, it's okay if you put it in a paper bag. Like, like, we don't need to fix the problem. We just don't want to see it. And my worry is that when Trump is gone, it's not going to go away, but it's going to go a little underground, and we're not going to deal with the fundamental problems that have led us here.
Well, and that's exactly what happened in like the 60s and 70s with the whole Civil Rights Act. And like, they just forced integration, which I agree with. Like, that's what there's no other way to write that. Like, you have to there cannot be segregation. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to do that. But what happened is exactly what you just said. The problem didn't go away. It just went underground. And now it's back. It came up a little bit with Ronald Reagan, and then went back down again, and then now it came back in full force. I think it just, when Obama became president, they were like, well, we've tolerated all this, but now there's a black president, and I won't take it anymore. You know what I mean? And then Trump came out of his fucking hole in the ground and stirred up the right, and now he's king.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, we never really, use like forced integration, but only to the most minuscule amount. And
like in government buildings and things like that.
Yeah, and it reinforced it in a lot of other ways, like city breakdowns and things like that. So, and even like funding for those things. So like, we did it at a surface level. Like, we've taken care of it. We're not going to worry about it anymore.
Yeah. Well, we stopped talking about
it in one day.
But I wouldn't say that it was. I wouldn't say that it was solved, or that it was taken care of at a surface level. Because if you take away funding, like, that's a pretty big deal, and that's not surface. But we didn't talk about it anymore. Not we, but like the generation just before us didn't talk about it anymore, and that was putting like lipstick on it and just kind of ignoring the whole thing. And I guess that's where we went wrong. I don't know. I mean, who knows? I'm just going off the cuff here, but I wouldn't say it was a surface level fix with like the Civil Rights Act, because it was. I mean, there was institutional changes made that changed the fabric of how we like navigate society. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
But as far as like mentality, that didn't go away. You still have, racist grandmas and grandpas like dropping N-bombs in their home. You know what I mean? And then you have generations of people hearing that and being okay with that, and like nodding in agreement with that, because that's what they grew up hearing, but it just didn't leave the home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I think there were a lot of people that were of the mindset of like, you got something now, cool it off. Like,
yeah.
And like, when I said surface level, I mean, like, we didn't fix any of the deep entrenched problems. We kind of put like a Band-Aid on it where we're like, we're good. Yeah. And everybody's happy now, right? Right?
You better be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, or like, it's this inequitable power dynamics where like a kid's throwing a tantrum and the parents give them like something that maybe the kid isn't like out of line, and the parents give them something that isn't quite fair, but they're like, you're gonna be good with this. And the kid doesn't really, like the power imbalance doesn't allow for a lot more of like a discussion or negotiation to go on in that situation.
Yeah.
Just like,
yeah, that's very much.
you got something, shut up.
Yeah. And that describes kind of both sides, actually, if you think about it.
So, Carlos, are you ready to fall in love?
Boy, am I.
All right. This is an important question then, because we're falling in love not in the romantic sense, but in the bromance sense. So
romantic sense.
Romantic, yes, exactly. Thank you. What does friendship mean to you?
What does that mean to me? Well, we had a similar question. What were the qualities of friendship, I think is what we landed on before. This one, I guess a friend is somebody that I can rely on, that I can feel comfortable in the absence of their judgment, their critical judgment. Somebody that I can consider family, I suppose, in a strange way. I mean, and really, what's something that's changed for me, and I've always kind of associated it with Jody, because she's not she is family now, but she was just my romantic partner before. I kind of associate the same thing, and I was thinking about it with another friend of mine that I've mentioned before that I grew up with. Like, I very much, and for years, I very much regarded him as family. And for me, family are, I guess, people that you grow with and you grow old with. You know what I mean? It's not just like, this is my wife, this is my husband, and we're growing old together. Like, you do that with family. And I've been growing old with this one guy since we were 8. And I love that. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's a friendship to me. Somebody that you've had for years and years and years. And you knew them back when they looked like this, or when they acted like this, and you've seen how they've changed over the years, and you can celebrate those changes or pity them, depending on which direction they've gone. But so, I don't know. I guess just someone who's reliable, really, someone that you can be with for the duration of your life, hopefully, and share memories with them. You know what I mean? They have a repository of the same experiences you had from a different perspective, and you can always just reflect in them and enjoy the time that you guys have spent together. I guess that's all I got.
That's really nice. I like that.
Hey, thanks. What does friendship mean to you, Skip?
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar. I mean, like, for me, my friends are my family. Like, I'm closer to friends usually than I am to family, and unfortunately, like, time and distance has separated me from some people that I wish I was better connected with in the way that you're talking about. But yeah, I think somebody that you can be comfortable with is something that I would like really prize. And I don't know if I'm ever 100% comfortable with anybody.
Yeah, I get that.
There's always like some little part that, like, you're afraid to show some part of yourself, or you're afraid that people will react negatively, or that you'll let something out, something slip, and they'll be like, no, you're terrible, I just realized it, And so, like, that's just like a personal foible or idiosyncrasy of mine, that I think I will work my whole life to get past. But somebody that you're as comfortable as you get with, and that you can be yourself, and that those people are family for me. And there are people, like I said, that I've lost touch with, but they'll always be that for me, even if I never talk to them, even if I never see them again. Like, they'll always be that person for me that I care very deeply for, and would go to the ends of the earth for, if not pick up a phone.
You reminded me of something else. My relationship that I have with family, specifically, I'm thinking of, well, not just my sisters, my mother, any like family, like my immediate family. I can say something offensive. I can offend them in a big way, or I can say something stupid or accidentally sexist or accidentally racist or something like that. And they might be like, whoa, but they're always going to extend their arms to me because they know who I am at my core. So I can fuck up in front of them accidentally. I can say something stupid. I can say something that I really don't mean and not lose them in my life, because they're going to be like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with this guy, because they already know who I am, and they know, well, yeah, well, that's we understand what he meant, and it's not going to be something that's going to end the relationship. You know what I mean? So that's something that I value or that I look for, or what friendship means to me when they know you so well that you can make a mistake and they're not going to just like kick you to the curb. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
And
reminded me of that
that's
with your fear of like saying something stupid and then you're out.
yeah, that's really nice. And it does, like, I think elucidate one of those differences between us. Like, as I've gotten older and more weird or wound up or whatever, I have really internalized kind of anxiety of abandonment or
Yeah.
things like that by people. And part of it was that I don't know if I ever felt that safety that you described.
Right.
And man, that makes sense because you have talked about like how you haven't had a lot of anxiety, and man, it must be like, it would be really nice to just feel like there's people that got you and you don't
Yeah.
have to be perfect, and you can really fuck up. You can really fuck up, and they're going to see through it as a fuck up and see the person that they value that you are. And yeah, that would be I feel like my immediate family, like my kids and my wife, are good about that, but I still have that just kind of internalized, like, I'm gonna fuck up someday. I'm gonna fuck up where they're not gonna, I don't know. It's a hard one, and it's not something that I'm like closed off about. Like, I fully am aware that I have this abandonment kind of whatever. Yeah, it's a hard one to deal with, even if it's unearned in some situations.
Hmm. Yeah, I hadn't. That's, you know what? That's almost like a privilege of mine, an invisible privilege of mine that I hadn't really been aware of. And when you pointed that out, yeah, I just hadn't thought of that. Like the closest I have with my mother and sisters, it's a privilege, and
Yeah,
I'm grateful for it because as you've just pointed out, like not everyone has that, and I really hadn't thought about how that would affect, coolness. You know what I mean? Like I don't have anxiety. I'm well, I'm as comfortable as I can be in my skin, but I'm not concerned about rejection or
yeah,
like or loss of people because, you know what, if I lose everyone in my life, well, I still have my sisters. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I've got this very comfortable emotional net that I can fall back on, and not everyone has that. All right, Chip. Well, I'd sent you an article like just last night, I think, that I found on the New York Times. It's called "This Isn't Your Old Toxic Masculinity. It has taken an insidious new form." The article is by Alex McElroy, and it was in 2022, I believe. So it's not super current, but it still fits into all the little nooks and crannies that we want to cover in this podcast. So, what he has done in this article, it's an opinion piece, and I believe it's behind a paywall, but I believe since I gifted it to you, I think we can share that same link in our show notes. So we should be able to. Hopefully, that'll be available to everyone else. I don't know how that works
We'll see.
exactly. We will. So the crux of this whole thing is he is writing, or I guess they are writing. This person's a trans, and I don't know how they identify. They're writing about toxic masculinity being kind of an old form way of describing males because what we've all done as men have become aware, not all obviously, but men have become aware of toxic masculinity and have moved, I think maybe in most cases, genuinely tried to move to like rectify that. But for some, they've taken a sort of corrupting turn in the service of finding vulnerability and in getting in touch with their vulnerability. They've sort of used it as a manipulative tool in what this person is calling petulant vulnerability. And really, the only way I can think to describe, you know what, I'm going to quote what this person says. Petulant vulnerability feigns emotional fragility as a means of retaining power. And I find that endlessly fascinating because I know exactly
Mhm.
the kind of man this person's talking about. I know exactly who they're talking about. I don't have them in my life that I'm aware of because I feel like it's rare that you'll see petulant vulnerability out in the public because I feel like it's an at-home sort of thing. And I mean, push back on that if you think. I feel like it's something that a man will do to emotionally manipulate his partner, whether it's a male or female, by being so vulnerable that I can't do this thing, or you have to do what I say because I'm having this emotional moment, So it strikes me as something that I haven't really seen much in public. But the one that really struck me, and I'm going to jump into my quick example here, was when, what is his name? The Supreme Court Justice, the most recent male that was, what was his name?
Brett Kavanaugh?
Yes. When Brett Kavanaugh was being confirmed, if you recall, during the confirmation hearings,
yeah, he had a little tantrum.
he had repeated tantrums. He had fake tears. He was red faced. He was slapping the table. He was being petulantly vulnerable by saying, "Look at my tears. I can't handle this sort of thing." And this is. Go ahead.
Displaying a lot of very unprofessional behavior for a person that's supposed to be calm and rational and judge things.
Yes. And yes, exactly. And to me, that is, a perfect example of petulant vulnerability. I don't know. What do you think? I just did a whole lot of talking. I went right over a lot of things, but what do you think?
No, I love it when you do a lot of talking because it's usually I'm usually just kind of rambling on for long periods. For me, there's a couple things. One, I think it's even simpler than what they talked about, and I'll get to that. But I think that's a great example of what you're talking about. For me, though, I think the term petulant vulnerability was a really useful bucket, categorization bucket for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, I'm going to go back and say, I don't even think that this is intelligent manipulation or anything, because what I know this from is having little boys.
Yes.
This
exactly.
is how children act.
Yeah.
I did something wrong. I'm getting punished and I feel bad for me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
And parents will react to this. It's hard to see your kid cry and it's hard to see your kid sad. And they will react and they'll lighten a punishment, or they'll be like, I'm sorry, buddy, like this. And there's, there are movements through where you don't correct some of these things. And I think that there's really a problem with that. There's also a problem with not letting kids cry. I want to be clear about that.
Right.
Expressing actual vulnerability, which this is not. This is not vulnerability. I even calling it petulant vulnerability is almost a problem because they're not being vulnerable in any way. They're throwing a tantrum. They're throwing a tantrum like a little kid that got in trouble. Kids, you wouldn't say kids are being vulnerable when they throw a tantrum. That's ridiculous. They're throwing a tantrum. That's what they're doing. And it's something that we differentiate in the raising of our sons, where I try and in those occasions where crying and being sad, like loss of a dog or a friend moving away or something like that, try and really reinforce those and being in touch with their feelings. But we also try and walk this double-edged sword of hey, you don't get to cry because you hit somebody and you're now in trouble. That's not an okay response. You can feel bad, you can try and make things better, but you don't get to cry about how you're now punished. That's not why this is sad. And there was actually we've been watching Andor, which is a great show and perfect for our times. But there was a scene like this in an episode that we watched last night where, and I'm not going to spoiler anything too badly, but a guy doesn't listen to kind of the person leading this action for the rebels, and somebody dies.
This is a Star Wars joint for everyone.
It's a Star Wars joint. Yeah. And somebody dies, and it's somebody close to the person who's leading this action. And the guy who accidentally wound up killing somebody and, on their side is crying. And she's like, you don't get to cry. You don't get to cry. I just lost somebody really close to me and somebody that's really important and somebody that it's sad for her. You get to carry this. This is now your guilt. This is your burden. You get to carry this. You don't get to cry about how it makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
And so that's what I thought of immediately. And of course I was talking with my wife earlier, it's okay to cry because you feel guilty. Because you have remorse, But crying because you feel bad for yourself when you do something terrible, like, no, that's something we try to really clearly delineate for our kids. Like, crying is okay. Crying is even a good thing.
Yeah.
But you don't get to cry when you do something bad. You don't get to cry about how you're now getting punished about it.
So I have I just sprung to mind an example of my own petulant vulnerability when I was 12, I think.
Uh-huh.
I was at a comic book store with my sister and a friend, and I stole a pack of football cards. And I didn't even watch football. I was just like stealing for the sake of stealing. And when I was showing my friend, like, look what I got, sort of thing, my sister, like, it all clicked. She's my younger sister. It all clicked in her head what had happened, and she just got real silent and sad, and like, she was upset that I stole, and she was going to tell on me. She was like, "I'm going to tell mom." And I was like, threw a fit. I threw the cards, and I'm like trying to reason with her, like I'm going to get in trouble, and she wouldn't listen. She was like, she's afraid for my soul, sort of thing, and like. And I was throwing a tantrum. Like my petulance at that moment was just anger. I was trying to like show her how mad I was, and I'm so upset that she's doing this to me. And she was like, "Will you tell mom, or I'm going to tell mom?" And so like I was just like, up against the ropes. So when I got home, so that was one little example. And when I got home, I called my mom. She was at work, and I had to tell her. I was like, "Look," and then like of course I burst into tears, and I was like. The whole show, like I did not regret stealing the football cards. To be clear, like
exactly.
I was not concerned about the action, but I was going to get in trouble. Like if she found out that I had stole something, I was going to get in trouble. So I called her. I was crying. I was upset that I had done this, and I don't know why I did it, and I wish I hadn't, and that sort of thing, and like regret. And of course, I didn't get in trouble. She was like, "Well, I'm glad that you told me, and it says a lot." This sort of like exactly how you. I mean, how do you fight that exactly? You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Like for all she knew, this was real. This was a real emotion. This was a real thing that I was doing because I was in deep regret over what I had done. And what's she gonna do?
But you were playing the game.
No, I was playing the game. Yeah, I didn't want to get in trouble. So yeah, that was that. But again. I was a little boy doing that. You know what I mean? And there are grown men. As I said, you don't see that kind of thing typically out in the open because, like, I mean, I would be completely shocked. One, that you'd be doing it, but I would be completely shocked to see you doing that to Jess. Like, if we're having dinner together or whatever, and then you like burst into tears over something, I'm like, wow, he's really like babied it up in the time, the time that I've seen it. But it would be shocking to see. It would be shocking to see. So that's why like I know what they're talking about in this article,
right?
But it's rarely seen, I think, in the public eye, other than like this whole Brett Kavanaugh situation. The first thing that came to mind. I did have another example. If you throughout this conversation, I hope it'll pop back up. But yeah. There's.
Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head of like you would never see. I mean, not me doing this generally, but you would never see a grown man doing this at a dinner with a couple because he would be perceived as a baby. Yeah. Like this is done when it's effective, like this is done in private, like, and this I think is part of man keeping as well. Like this is my emotion and you now have to take care of it. It's the same way. It's the same way that kids are like, like, you hit your brother and now you're crying. How and as a parent, which is so infuriating, you're like, how am I now feeling like I have to make you feel better about punching your brother? Like that's the dumbest thing in the world. Like, but I think that's what happens, in relationships is that guys do something stupid and get in trouble and they fly off the handle. And then it's the woman's job as a man keeper to take care of their tantrum in a lot of cases. And like, they were talking about the January 6th insurgency in this article. And, they were saying like the way people reacted afterwards and crying and expressing shame. And like, this is like what you described. That's what little boys do. And if you look at a lot of them now that they've been pardoned, they turned around. Yeah, it was all fake. And they go on to say, if true vulnerability seems scary, it is. And that's the thing. That's what vulnerability actually is. All this stuff, this is just performative tantrums. But actual vulnerability is hard. Like I have we talked earlier about me having sort of these abandonment kind of issues, and like real vulnerability is talking to my wife and kids and saying like, I feel this way. It's my problem. I'm giving you insight into who I am.
Right.
It's not, you need to make me feel loved and not, it's not like,
Yeah.
you're like, they're doing a great job. They love
Yeah.
me. They're doing everything they should. This is a problem that I have, that letting them in to understand that is vulnerability.
Right.
Making them take care of me and make me feel better about my issues is not vulnerability.
And also using it as like, well, now that you know my sort of disability,
Right.
step it up a little bit now and work with it. You
Exactly.
know what I mean?
Yeah. No, but I think that was like a real key difference is they're saying like real vulnerability on these days would have been like, instead of going to the Capitol to throw a mass tantrum, going to the people that are around you that love you and care about you and say, I'm scared. I'm scared about what this means for my world, and my world is changing, and that's scary for me. Like that's actual vulnerability. And it's something that I think vulnerability is something that's very brave. And a lot of times it's something that people that are toxically masculine, which we talked about how there's been like some decline, but I think there's been a resurgence, as we've talked about before, because it's like popular now again. Like it's something seen as cowardly or weak, but like vulnerability's hard. It's hard. And it is like you're basically walking out into an arena and taking off your armor instead of putting it on and carrying a weapon.
Yeah. And you're always in armor. Like you're always in armor if you're a certain kind of man. But I wanted to go back and just make a quick reference to vulnerability and like the actions of January 6th. You don't think that breaking into the Capitol and taking a shit on Nancy Pelosi's desk is a display of vulnerability?
You couldn't even get through it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they you know what? They had something to work out, and that's how they were doing it. Skip, you have to help them.
But it worked, right? It worked. Like for the people on that side, they felt bad. They all got pardons, even the ones that were that had things like pedophilia and stuff and other violent offenses. They got pardoned for all of it because collectively they whined and cried. And the tantrum thrower in chief was like, yeah, I'm on your side. I'm, that was our collective tantrum and I was the leader of it. And you can't possibly be in trouble because that would mean that I did something wrong. And
right.
Part of vulnerability is admitting a real part of vulnerability is admitting your fallibility and your flaws. So I have a question for you because I've talked a little bit about like displaying what I think of as real vulnerability. Can you give us an example? Because you got to give us an example of petulant vulnerability from when you were a kid, and fittingly, it came from when you were a kid. Because like, where does the adjective petulant come from? It's like a child,
just a little bratty kid.
Yeah, but like, so can you give us an example of like what you think of as healthy vulnerability?
Well, I can give examples of from my own life. I mean, that I feel like I've been. This will sound stupid, but like in the beginning of my relationship with Jody, I feel like I was 10 times more toxic than I am now, and I think that was my own insecurities, my own unhappiness, my own like all kinds of stuff. And I realized that like I always had to be right. I always had to have an answer to it. Like if there was a question about like science or the current events or whatever, I had to have the answer. And I always was like, Jody's wrong. Whether I knew anything about it or not. Like I was like, I'm the one, I know this stuff and she doesn't. And I'm the one that, you know what I mean?
I've never been accused of something like that.
So for me, like one thing that I've worked to change about myself is I shouldn't have the answers, especially to something I know fucking nothing about. And my default has gone from like, hold on, and like thinking through so I know the answer, to just like, I don't know why that is, or that's interesting. Yeah, I have no idea. So you know what I mean, like kind of accepting my own ignorance in a lot of things. That's what I'm saying. It's going to sound stupid because it's so dumb, because nobody knows everything. You know what I mean? But like to me, that was a vulnerability to be like, I don't know. You know, and like you're not going to think less of me you're not going to think I'm dumb for not knowing, sort of thing. I don't know. Maybe it was just a sense of inferiority or something that I had before. So that's changed for me, and that's something that I've like as a default now, that I'm like, I mean, sometimes I might just kind of reflexively be like, I have an answer, but generally I'm like, oh, if I don't know the answer, I just don't know the answer. And it's so much more comfortable to like not be scrambling for something in my mind. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why that is. And it feels good. I like that. So
I think you really hit on something there, which is like, you know, there's whole wings of humanity for whom they are now experts on something new every week. And I think from your wisdomonious orations to reality, like we should get comfortable with things that we don't know, and it's okay to know things too. But I think we also, you know, you're saying you didn't know why, like you felt like you had to know everything. I think that's part of the way that sexism and patriarchy has affected men. Like we are supposed to, like the traditional role is we are supposed to be the leaders. We are supposed to have the answer. And like, I'm not saying that like literally we're supposed to do these things, but that's kind of what society has shown us as we grew up. So like it is uncomfortable to be like, I don't know, for a while. But I think that's part of what vulnerability is doing things that are uncomfortable until they feel right because they're supposed to, or because they are right. Not like doing something uncomfortable that's terrible until you get used to it, but like but like doing something healthy that you're not doing that is uncomfortable because of some hang up that you have or whatever, until you kind of like sand off that edge and you get rid of that hang up.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what's happened for me. I can't think of another example though where I might have been manipulative like that. I mean, I'm surely I've had girlfriends in the past that could be like, ding ding, I've got one or two.
So I don't have an example of me being manipulative like that with crying. I mean, I definitely do have examples like that, like from when I was a kid throwing a fit. But I'll give you something else, which is not being petulantly vulnerable, but is the same thing, which was petulantly annoying. So, so instead of going the route of crying and throwing a fit, I just was very annoying in this situation. And so like me and my sister, when we were young and we'd ride in the car, we both had a radio station that we'd like, and the radio stations were, you know, probably practically indistinguishable, but we had to have different radio stations because,
Because your siblings,
your enemies, and so she had gotten the radio station, and rather than crying or throwing a fit or something, I just started singing along with the songs, going poop, 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 poop. But it was the same thing, right?
Yeah,
it wasn't. There's nothing vulnerable about it. It was less annoying, and it didn't. I mean, it was annoying. It was more annoying to my sister than to my mom, who I think started laughing because it was just kind of funny. So that ended up being like how I learned to change situations for myself as I got older, as well as using humor and things like that. But like, again, like there was nothing vulnerable about that, but functionally it was the same behavior.
Right.
And I like to look a lot of times at behaviors and like things like under intention and under function. Like, what is it that you're trying to like actually achieve here? And it's a great way to like talk to kids as well, or adults if they're open to it, about better ways to behave, is kind of under goal orientation, like to be like, what is it that you're trying to do here? Let's think of a better way to make that happen. And like, that's something that we try and do it with the kids. But yeah, again, like the root of me going poop, 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 poop to the song was just being petulant. No vulnerability there.
I just want to comment also that both times that you said poop, 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 for listeners here, I'm Skip and I are looking at each other via, our computers, and he does like this head rocking thing when he says poop, poop, poop. And both times, I don't know if it's the head rocking or the little smile you got in your face when you do it, or the word poop that just does it for me. And I've laughed both times. You just say poop and I just start cracking up. It could be also that I'm still 12 in my mind.
Yeah, well, it's a big hit in our house. So we've got the two young teen boys, and
did I ever send you
potty humor is still great.
This is completely off the subject, but not off the subject of poop. Did I ever send you there's some guy on YouTube that like makes poop songs with people's names. He's got like thousands, I don't know if thousands, but probably hundreds, where like you just type in Skip poop song and he's a guy and he's like Skip poop poop and he's got a guitar or like a keyboard and they're all original. Every song is original, but and it's real brief, about 2 minutes. Nice. Yeah, it's really funny. It's almost like that. A kid put my name in there and I was like, is this AI? Like, what am I hearing? But no, it's just a dude that's cranking out poop songs. Yeah.
It went from the vulnerability episode to the poop episode.
The poop episode. Yeah. Try to keep that out of the title for this one. But it wouldn't be an episode of Outside the Manosphere if we weren't talking about some sort of waste product from the human body.
Carlos, this brings us to my favorite part of the show. What is your joy for this week?
My joy. Okay, I wrote them down because I didn't want to be stumbling around here. I've got joys, and I've got something that I also want to say. What do I get, or what do you, not you necessarily, but the royal you, what do you get to do today? What do you get? Emphasis on the get. What do you get to do today? So I have a couple things there, and I have a joy. So my first thing is my joy is, since I started as a paramedic, I've been meaning to write down stuff, and I haven't written a single thing down. Because I kind of want to not document necessarily, but I want it to be like maybe a collection of short stories or something that I can like start writing on the subject, because I think it'd be really interesting and I think it'd be a good creative project for me as well. And a joy of mine is, a couple of weeks ago, I meant to bring it up, maybe 3 weeks ago, I have come up with my first short story that I want to write about. And it's about, I'm super excited about it. I just have to like sit down and make time to do it. But the other thing is I have another one that I like, at one particular call that we were on that was just really funny that, it was like disastrous, but it was funny. Like it wasn't a good call for the patient, but it was just the circumstances of everything that was going on was just like funny. And I have to figure out how to write all this stuff down ethically, because I don't want to, of course, reveal any patient information or humiliate anyone or anything like that. But anyway, so those are my joys. I'm excited about finally putting this stuff down, and maybe I'll do some of that in Texas. I got big plans for Texas. Who knows? I'll probably not gonna do anything but eat.
I've been aching to ask you about Austin, because it's coming. It's like 4 days now, right?
Yeah, I'm leaving on Saturday, I think is the day. Yeah. So, I'm super excited.
We'll get. I'm gonna let you finish. But.
Okay. So, and then the things that I get to do today, I think that is like, rather than like what I have to do today, like, I have to do this, I have to do that today. What do you get to do today? This actually isn't something that I am necessarily going to do today, but I am excited. And this isn't a chore that I'm converting into something positive. This is just something that I'm looking forward to doing. So maybe it's a joy, whatever. I recently discovered that ChatGPT has a projects tab, and you can hit the projects tab and you can upload your own PDFs, and it'll source information from that. And it also feeds the monster, and I'm assuming that goes out in the ether as well. But there are so many, and I'm hoping it's okay that I do this, but there are so many like protocols and procedures and just things there. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of pages regarding my job that I'm always lost in, and it's a source of insecurity for me. So something that I get to do at some point, whether it's today or in the next weeks or months or whatever, is I'm going to start uploading documents, whatever I can, as long as it's not proprietary, regarding my job, that I can like source from this artificial intelligence, and I won't have to like shift through, dozens and dozens of PDFs that I don't even know where to look. I can just start feeding them. Like it's like Weird Science. You've seen Weird Science, yeah?
Yes. Oh man, I've been wanting to rewatch it. I know it's not gonna hold up to modern standards, but I've been wanting to rewatch it literally for years.
Same. We should do it. We should do a podcast on that. Then that'll be one of our bonuses. Yeah, that's a good one because that's very sexist.
Oh, so bad. It's so terrible.
But but what made me think of it though is how they're like feeding in like magazine pictures and they're feeding in all the stuff to the computer. I'm like, yeah, that technology didn't exist in the 80s, but now it actually does. That's exactly what I'm going to be doing now. So, and the other couple things are what I am going to do today is I'm going to meditate and I'm going to remote view and I'm going to actually do it because I always say I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I've just been getting farther and farther from those things, and I'm going to do that. And the last thing, Skip, is I've always known this was on my. In my realm of possibilities, all I had to do was ask, but I always have a lot on my plate. So I didn't want to ask, but I was waiting for you to ask, and now you have. And so I'm looking forward to reading your young adult novel. It's a novel, right? Or a novella, or what is it?
It's a novel, yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking forward. You've sent me the file, and I am looking forward to biting into that when I start to have consistent leisure time, which is coming up. And I'm genuinely looking forward to it. I know with any personal project, there's going to be a little bit of doubt as to whether it's as good as you think it is or as good as you want it to be. But like I was thinking about it today, like I'm looking forward to it, not because I'm going to read Skip's thing, but because I sense it's going to be good. I've read some short stories of yours, and they're good. They're like really good. And I enjoyed reading them, and I have no reason to think this is going to be any less good. So I'm looking forward to that in a big way, actually.
Well, I appreciate that. It was the first thing I wrote, so there are some problems. There are some problems. Yeah. I'll put it that way. But yeah,
I expect it, and I expect it as I would anything that I've read as a manuscript. So I wouldn't be like, whoa, why would Skip have formed this sentence that way?
Yeah.
So what's bringing you joy? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Before we get to my joy, I want to hear a little bit more about Austin because I know that you're going in a few days. What are you excited for? How are you feeling as it's coming up? Like, tell me a little bit.
So I'll start with feeling. I've I'm the kind of person that makes plans like a week or a month or whatever in advance. I'm like, yes, I want to do that thing, and then when it comes to it, I'm like, I don't want to do that thing now. So as I get closer to my flight, I'm like, it's so much more comfortable to be at home and to be like just chilling at home. And so I don't want to be a disruptive force because I am imposing. I didn't ask if I could stay at my sister's house. I'm just doing that. So I am like an imposition, and not in a super negative way. I mean, they're all going to be happy I'm there, but. So yeah, I'm reaching that point where I'm like, this is going to be like outside of my comfort zone, but it's going to be comfortable, but outside, and I'm going to enjoy it 100%. I'm looking forward, as I mentioned before, the wide variety of food that I'm going to dive into. I don't think I'm going to break my vegetarianism, but it has crossed my mind because there's like fajitas and stuff.
I was wondering. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I will because I feel like I don't think I'd feel good like in my mind.
About it.
Yeah, I don't think I'd feel good about it. And it's been quite a long time since I've had meat, so I don't even know how my body would react to it. I'm looking forward to seeing some friends that I haven't seen in a while. And like the last time it was me and guys, and we went to this kind of local area that we all hung out. Like we knew each other in high school and before. And last time we hung out, we just hung out one day for a few hours or a couple hours, and we all met in this area that were like high school kids our age would have gone to hang out.
Right.
We went there, got ice cream. One of his kids was running around and like that. It was a really nice time.
Yeah.
Highlight of my trip actually, even though we were only chatting for a couple hours. Gonna have probably a late lunch with my sisters and my mother and my childhood friend and his girlfriend that I'd never met before. And I hope he brings his mother because I haven't seen her and she shut her in 20 years probably. So yeah, kind of a reunion of sorts. And I don't know. My mom does like thrift shopping. Like I've reached an age where I'm like, I'm going to go thrift shopping with my mom. She doesn't know that I want to do that, but like that's something that I want to do.
That's fun.
Yeah. So I don't know, little things like that. I just want to poke around the town and just see things I haven't seen for a while and just kind of imbibe the vibe, if you will, and just feel it again. It's been a long time. So
All right.
that's the end of my awesome plans. I'll have a lot to say, I'm sure, when I come back. But right now, I really don't have any. The only plans that I have is to have this late lunch like the day after I arrive. But other than that, I have no plans. So we'll see how it all goes. But so
All right.
going back though, what's bringing you joy this week?
So a minor joy is that I have made it officially over a week as a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Some rocky days, and I think I'll probably. Jess has even been pushing me a little bit to go back to meat. She's like, I just don't think this is a great diet.
Sustainable. It's not sustainable.
And I'm getting better at it though. My body was a rocky few days of just like feeling real tired and things like that. And then I was gaining weight every day because I was somehow struggling to get enough calories, but also gaining weight. It was wild. But now I feel like I've settled a little bit and my body's kind of adjusting. Like nothing, like no belly problems or anything. Just like generally kind of feeling crappy. So like that's been something I've always wanted to try. And whether I stick with it or not, like it feels good to have done something I've been thinking about doing for a long time, even if it's something that's temporary. But the other thing that's bringing me joy is that I've started going to a writers group locally, and you share like less than 1,500 words or less a week. So I gave them the first half of a short story, and I think it's one that you've actually read.
Okay.
In fact, I'm sure it's one that you've read. But it was really nice to get some critiques, and some of them were helpful, but also more importantly, because it's a humorous story, it was really edifying to see people sitting around a table and like we weren't reading these stories, but somebody would mention it or read a line, and everybody or like the most of the table would start laughing thinking about that scene, and I was like, oh man, that's gratifying. That's
it's gotta feel good.
It felt really good, and I know that like this is one of my better stories, so like they don't all hit like that, but it was really gratifying to like see somebody say this line really tickled me, and when they start saying the line, people at the table start laughing because they remember it, and that felt really good. That was something I've been kind of for a couple months now. I haven't wanted to write, just kind of going through a little burnout phase. I think like not writer's block. I have plenty of things to write, but I just hadn't want to. And the last several days, even before this, I've just kind of come back into like I feel like I'm getting back into the mode where I want to write again, which is really really nice because it's what I started out with for being my focus for the year, and it's I'm glad that it hasn't completely faded away. So I'm enjoying it.
I'm sure that'll come and go as well. I was going to ask you though, are you where do you normally write?
I normally write like in public, like in a mall or a fast food place, somewhere with unlimited soda. That's caffeine fueled.
I used to go to Costa Coffee there in Prague. I miss Costa Coffee, man. That was pretty decent for a chain.
Yeah.
But I used to go to Costa Coffee and just chill there and I write on my laptop. But I was gonna say, if you were writing at home, like maybe just like switch to the other side of the table and like write from a different, literally from a different perspective. That can break it up. But I think if you're writing somewhere publicly, like there's enough distraction and enough things happening around to keep it like dynamic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and it's something I kind of need with like my ADHD. I need like a certain amount of like visual and auditory white noise around me to like help me focus. Like it's like understimulation if I don't have it, you know, it's paying attention to just that one thing is too hard.
I would generally put like earbuds in my ears and like listen to some kind of distracting music or something. You know, I wouldn't even listen to the white noise. It would just be like looking up and seeing a new person like walking up to the thing. That's what I would do.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I do. And like I'll listen to like I'll have one earbud in where I'm listening to things or the white noise around me, but I'll have like classical music playing. Same. And be looking up and looking out the window, and I like sitting by a window and just being able to see like people come and go. And
the problem with like classical is that like I would always have to play something soft on a piano usually in my earbuds, because if it was classical or like a symphony of some kind of like if it was good, I'd stop paying attention to the writing. I'm just listening to that.
Yeah.
It had to be
Yeah.
something not disruptive.
Yeah, it can't be too powerful.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're done.
Well, let's just do one more short thing. How about that?
Okay.
Here it is. Very, very quick.
Okay.
What is one of your greatest guilty pleasure movies?
Oh, guilty. Okay, I have one right away, dude. And this is it's a guilty pleasure because it's a little bit macho, but like, okay, so the movie is the comedy, and it's This Is the End. You ever seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for anyone, it's with Seth Rogen, James Franco, Craig Robinson, Jonah Hill. I forget that skinny Canadian guy. I forget his name. He's like one of the main stars in it. And who else? Who am I forgetting? Oh, and Danny McBride. And it's an end of the world sort of apocalypse story. And it's so goddamn. They're all playing caricatures of themselves, and it's so funny. And there's a lot of like dick and fart and that kind of jokes. and it's so fucking funny. But you know what though? Jody loves it too. And like every now and then we'll like put it on and just kind of. We don't always finish it because we've seen it many times, but
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed that I like that movie so much, but it's quite funny.
I actually remember this about you guys, that you loved this movie. Yeah, because you talked about that before. That's fun.
Yeah.
So it's almost hard for me to pick. There's like whole genres that are sort of guilty, almost not guilty pleasures. So like, I don't even know if I'm guilty about it, but Josie and the Pussycats is
okay. And haven't I know of it, but I haven't seen it.
It's fantastic. It's silly. It's got Parker Posey, who's one of my favorites, and Alan Cummings, who's always amazing, and just it's got people that I'm not always even crazy about in it, but they are perfect in the role that they're in, you know, and it's just, you know, there's something about teen girl movies that I love. I just think they're hilarious for some reason, but there's also just like there's a lot of like parody and things going on that are just clever and fun in it. And like I can always put on Josie and the Pussycats and watch it. It's a good fun one.
Yeah, you know what, Jody, I'm sure Jody would be happy to watch it, so maybe I'll add it to my list because she's always going to watch.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your reaction to it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll throw it on there. Mitigate your expectations because, like, I mean, I've seen Mean Girls a couple times, and it is funny. But is it something that like it's probably the only movie Jody quotes? Like, she'll quote. I'm like, I don't get it. She's like, but
I love Mean Girls.
Yeah, she doesn't quote movies, but she quotes. She knows Mean Girls so well that she'll quote it, and then I'm the one that doesn't know like the pop culture. You know what I mean? It's funny.
Yeah.
But I have seen it and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a funny movie. I just I'm not into the genre, I guess.
Yeah, no, I've like when my boys get old enough, like one by one, because they're all different ages by years. Like we go through Mean Girls and Heathers and you know all those kind of classic The Craft, you know, all the mean teen girl movies. We love them. I love them. They're fun. They're so fun. They're so vicious and hilarious. They're so vicious and hilarious, and like the stakes are so stupidly low, but they're amazing.
Yeah. That's funny. Heathers is a musical now, I think, right? Didn't they make Heathers a musical?
They made Mean Girls into a musical.
Maybe not a musical, but a stage play or something. I don't know, but they've done something different with it. Well, all right. I think we've reached the end of our rope here, Skip.
I think so. I think we've talked our tongues off. Thanks for joining us. New podcasts every Monday, and if any part of this show has resonated with you, let us know at outsidethemanosphere@gmail.com, Instagram, or Facebook. Please like, rate, subscribe to the podcast, or recommend us to a friend. We hope you'll come back.
Adios.
Adios. So here's a quick question. If you just right off the top of your head, any movie or song and replace one of the words with poop, just give me a reaction. What's the first thing that pops to mind?
The first thing that popped in my head was the big Lapoopski.
Yeah, I thought of, instead of Fight Club, Poop Club.
Oh, that's funny. Pooplash. Yeah, no, we could go
Yeah.
on forever. This is
This is a fun game for people at home to play.
yeah.
Now you too can poop.
Or it's a fun game for us to just continue and for them to listen to.